This is Contractor Sense with Ruth King.
Welcome to Contractor Sense. Here you discover ideas, tactics, news, and information that matters to your contracting business and you. I'm your host, Ruth King. This episode is sponsored by Profitability Movement. Google Profitability-Movement to join this community of business owners focused on building profit, increasing wealth, and giving back. Thank you for joining us. Here is how we will help your business and you today. You say, we want to communicate with our customers more often. But what does that really mean? My guest today, Ron Nussbaum, gives you the answers on effective communications with your customers. Ron is co-founder of NutNest, a company that helps contractors reimagine each customer interaction. By doing this and really communicating with your customers, you can create lifelong customers that builds your company's profitability and wealth. Ron, welcome to Contractor Sense.
Hey, Ruth, great to be here today.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this conversation because you really have kind of cracked the code on what communications really mean, right?
Well, I would like to think so. I'm definitely trying.
Okay. So why don't you give us a little bit of background in terms of how NutNest got started? And you work specifically with contractors, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So how'd you get into this crazy business?
So it all starts with a little bit of background on myself. So after serving 4 years in the Marine Corps, I found myself in Michigan with my wife, and I had never lived there before. And I was looking for something to do and figure out exactly what was going to be that next chapter. That's how I ended up in the residential construction business. And I spent over a decade working from in the field to supervisors, to operations, management, leadership, all in residential construction. And what I heard all too often was, hey, we love you. We love you guys. We love the work you do, but your communication sucks. And
I'm not surprised.
That right there was when NutNest started to be developed. It was actually formed to solve a problem that I was dealing with, because as a manager and a leader in a company, I wasn't necessarily being paid to be out at somebody's house fixing a customer dispute. I was there to help grow the company, develop leaders, and doing a little bit of research, I was able to find out that most of the escalated customers I was dealing with, you could link back to a point where that communication broke down. And if that would have never happened, we would have never got to being an escalated customer.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. One of the things that I always tell owners, managers, dispatchers, whatever, is that if a customer calls with an issue, not necessarily a problem, but an issue, if it has to be escalated to a manager, that manager must call back within 24 hours. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. You want to make sure that is being handled in a timely fashion, because little fires become fully engulfed very quickly in the construction industry.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. So what did you find that communications was, in a customer's mind, like good communication in a customer's mind is probably different than good communication in a contractor mind, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I look at like the status quo stuff all the time. And what we hear as contractors is, I need more communication. That's what customers say. And I feel like that's a default emotion that a customer feels. What they really want is effective communication. They want a way to be able to communicate that makes sense to them. In the 21st century here, we have so many different ways to communicate that the water is very muddy. And that's why NutNest is around now, because we become that singular platform that allows a customer to be able to communicate with that contractor one-on-one. And not only that contractor, communicate with the right person at that company every time they have a question. Because what I found is most of the time, the only phone number that the customer has is that sales representative that was out at the house at the beginning of the process. And 95% of the questions they have after that, he's not or she's not the guy to talk to.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. It's just, let's give somebody the communication that they need to have the communication. And do you also find that different age groups want to communicate differently?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And that's all starting to change. Is how I see it, because technology is really taken off. And the construction industry is one industry that's kind of been left behind, especially with adaptation and moving in the way of having technology. The customers and homeowners are really begging for it. And one of the biggest trends going into 2022 and leading into 2023 is the construction industry moving towards technology. And I think one of the reasons that it's headed that way is we're starting to see a lot of younger CEOs and second generation leadership start to come in and start to move the construction industry that way. One thing I hear from builders all the time is, hey, I have clients that don't respond to my emails or text messages because they aren't on their phones during the day. Or what does that look like? Because they're trying to focus on what they're doing. That's where NutNest can come in and allow, hey, that homeowner knows when they get a notification from NutNest. That's something that has to do with the project that's happening at their home. And that is what we feel is an important way going forward.
So do you communicate with them by email, by text, by phone, all three?
So with the homeowner downloads the NutNest app, that becomes the singular platform for their entire project. That we have created a live feed in there. So you think of like a Facebook or Instagram feed, but it's for, say, your kitchen renovation. You can go in there, you can see exactly what communication you've had, what that looks like. Any pictures, or hey, when's the crew showing up? All of that kind of stuff would be right in there. And there's a messaging feature right in there that allows you to communicate with the right person at that contractor every time you have a question. So if you have a question about scheduling, you're not reaching out to the sales rep or the installer. You're actually reaching out to the person that runs that calendar at the company.
Cool. All right, before we take a break, if somebody's interested in taking a look at NutNest, where do they find you?
You can find me at nutnest.com, 2 T's, or find me on LinkedIn or Ron at nutnest.com.
And it's NUTNEST, right? Not NEST.
Yes.
Yeah. 2 T's, one after nut and one after nest. We will be right back. Thanks for listening to Contractor Sense.
Many times, relatives are recruited to do your company's books without knowing how to do the books. Or you hire a bookkeeper who really doesn't know bookkeeping. If this is you, then your books are probably inaccurate. You probably pay more taxes than you should, and you rarely look at a P&L and balance sheet because you know they are wrong. What do? Have your bookkeeper enroll in Ruth King's Contractor Bookkeeping Basics. After completing this online course, your bookkeeper will know bookkeeping. You'll get accurate financial statements that help you make good business financial decisions. To enroll, click on the link in the show notes or call us at 770-729-0258. Enroll today.
Welcome back. Thanks for listening to Contractor Sense. I am speaking with Ron Nussbaum, who is the co-founder of NutNest, a way to help customer communication and your communication and not let things slip through the cracks and not let minor things escalate into major issues and cause a lot of problems. Let's leave it that way. So, Ron, before the break, we were just talking about the overview of NutNest. What have you seen with your customers who actually are using the product? Are they having less warranty calls? Are they having less? I don't want to put words in your mouth. Answer the question.
No, absolutely. Well, we're early in the market here. A lot of people are probably saying, "Man, I've never heard of NutNest. What is that?" So we're going to be completely live towards the end of September, and it's going to be amazing. From the feedback we're getting from the few people that are beta testing it right now is, hey, it's allowing us to have that clear line of communication with homeowners that we couldn't have before because we had multiple people reaching out different ways and the customer is completely confused. If they're receiving an email or a text message or a phone call or WhatsApp, Facebook, there's all these different ways that stuff falls through the cracks. So aligning that communication in one place is what the greatest benefit that we're having with builders and contractors right now.
Yeah. And I also imagine that there's a whole lot more satisfaction and a whole lot less stress on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, so let's assume that the homeowner finishes the project. Do they go away from the app or do they stay there forever, or how does that work?
No, that information stays there forever. So that homeowner can then continue to look at that project. If they ever had anything or come up or say a service issue, they can reach right out. Or what we like to have right in there is the referral basis to be able to say, hey, I use this contractor. That information saved. So you no longer have homeowners that completely forget what the phone number is, who they use. It's right there in that database for their house. So they go into NutNest app, they can refer their neighbor. And then that contractor has contents to the kind of work that person might be looking for because it's linked directly to that last project.
All right, so that's cool. And it goes from there. And I would imagine that, let's assume it was a heating and air project, for example, and they're looking for a plumber or something like that. The referral sources can be there too, correct?
Yeah, we allow that cross refer stuff there. That's not 100% live. One thing that I want to be clear on is like, we're not an Angie's List and we're not a CRM. We are a communication platform. That's the problem that we've set out to fix, and that's what we want to stick to. There might be stuff that it evolves into down the road, but right now my main focus is solving the biggest problem that has faced the construction industry, and that's communication.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I think that's the biggest problem that faces everybody. It's not only construction industry. It's like I say one thing, you hear something else.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the great things is right in the platform, all that information saved. So all the messaging back and forth, that owner or contractor has access to be able to go in there and say you do get an escalated customer. You can go in and see what was it like for your team talking to that customer throughout the process, and where did that veer wrong? Where did something happen? Or, one that I like to hear all the time is people say, oh, you were late. You said you would be here at 3, but it was actually, hey, I'll be there in 3 hours. But having that record to be able to set that straight, to be like, hey, no, I apologize. I just said I'd be here in 3 hours. I didn't say I'd be here at 3. It's right here in the messaging. So you can have that clarity and transparency there between the homeowner and the contractor that creates that communication.
Yeah, and that's true because, if you think about it from a service perspective, not, a project perspective, a lot of times if somebody is out in the evening and they need a part that they have to get from a supply house that they don't happen to have it on their truck because it's not a normal part, the homeowner hears what we'll be back first thing in the morning. And what he really said was, I'm going to order it first thing in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely. And then being able to put that information right in there so that homeowner knows and gets that notification that they know exactly when that person's coming back out or what that timeline looks like when somebody's going to reach out.
Yeah. And that way it's not, you said, he said, it's written down. And nobody has what I call CMS. Do you know what that is?
No, explain to me.
CMS is convenient memory syndrome. And that's what I accuse both employees and customers of having. It works both ways. All right. Sometimes customers have it, and if you've written it all down, as we're doing with NutNest, that goes away. But a lot of times techs have it too, because they hear one thing, and if it's not written down that they have to sign off on, they'll think it's one way and it's actually another way. So everybody has CMS if it's not written.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and we have a little bit of time left. So what would you say, who is the best customer for you?
So Being that, we're very new to the market here, is there's a broad range of customers. We feel like our ideal customers, contractor doing a couple $1 million a year that's ready to start to take their business to the next level, or just improve their communication. The one thing about NutNest is we're scalable. You can go from $100,000 a year handyman contracting business, and we can service up to $100 million a year general contractor. And we can scale with those businesses as they continue to grow. So being able to get that process started to begin with and make it part of a business is always critical as well.
Well, cool. All right. So give everybody your contact information again if they want to get in touch with you.
It is NutNest.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Ron Nussbaum, as well as reach out to me via email at ron@nutnest.com.
Ron, thanks so much for being with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And if I can ever do anything for you, feel free to reach out.
All right. I appreciate that. And thanks to all of you for joining us. Choose one thing you discovered and implement it in your business. These ideas, tactics, and strategies help you make more money, have more free time, and give back. If you like today's program, spread the word. Please review this podcast on any device you're listening to it on. Help a fellow contractor make more money too. For comments or questions, call me at 770-729-0258 or email Ruth King at hvacchannel.tv. Thanks for listening. Have a great and profitable day.